Hello again, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani here on this Wednesday afternoon. Today, we're being joined by Tyron Woodley, who we last saw in action this past Saturday against Gilbert Burns. Unfortunately, things didn't go his way. But as he said, following the fight, he doesn't just show up after a victory, he shows up after defeats as well. And he's kind enough to join us on this Wednesday afternoon. So, first off, Tyron, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
1 second. I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Because you were dragging that time.
Oh,
Now I
no.
got to take some of my medicine. I heard you going. You sound like a robot. So I'm doing great this afternoon, my man. I can't complain. The last couple of days have been different for me. I've kind of like shifted my focus a little bit different. Outside of just fighting and dealing with that. That's usually what we do. It's either we have a moment where we're thinking about what's next for us. We had this huge wave that we created through victory, and we want to try to capitalize on as many things as possible. Or you're on the other side of the coin where you suffer defeat and you kind of putting the pieces together and trying to rebuild and see what's next for you. But for me, I was kind of muted to a lot of stuff that was going on as far as like, in the US and around the country with the police brutality, excessive force, George Floyd and all these different things. But then I was forced to open up my phone and Twitter and Instagram and all these different things, and basically be brought up to speed on what was going on in the world. And I spent the last 2 or 3 days really reaching out and trying to come up with a group of people, of leaders, to come up with some sound solutions that can be measurable, that can be instantly impactful and long term, can create the change that everybody wants.
So obviously, a lot of people are curious about your take on what happened Saturday, but I'm happy that you brought up what's happened over the past few days in America and all over the world. And I'm just curious. I mean, you're no stranger to racism. You're no stranger to segregation. You're no stranger to discrimination. You're from Ferguson. We remember several years ago what happened in Ferguson. And I'm just curious, when you started to see and digest what was going on, how did you react to it?
First off, my first initial reaction is, the fact that history is repeating itself. And, one thing my mom always told me as a kid, that when you have, you go through a certain trial or tribulation or problem, and it's a way that you address that problem that shows you how you're going to do the next time you experience something similar. So if you don't pass the test, or if you don't have valid or valuable solutions to that problem, when that problem comes up, a lot of times it multiplies and magnifies, because when you repeat that test, it's a harder test. So I started thinking about the Rodney King situation, right? You got to remember, when I did the film Straight Outta Compton, that was a portion of the film. So as we were filming the riot scenes in the movie Straight Outta Compton, the riots were physically and literally taking place in Ferguson, where I was from, at the same exact time. So after I got out of the octagon of fighting, maybe for a chance to be back, in the number one spot to go for the belt, maybe a chance to just redemption, but really just fighting for everything you believe in. That's one thing fans don't recognize, that when you fight, it's not just about a win or a loss. It's not about money all the time. Sometimes it's about a better lifestyle, a kid, diversity. Like, my 2019 was shaken to a molecule. Like, what I mean? I was broken, shaken, depressed, dealt with a lot of shit, and I never gave up. I never folded. You know what I mean? I was sunken in the cave for a little bit, but I came out of that. I came out firing. I came out swinging. So I was at a state of eerie peace with the fight. Everything went well this time. I blocked out all distractions this time. I regained the focus that I need to be the champion that I was. And I kept asking God, I said, I don't understand. And I'm really confused, but I trust you. And one thing, if you know me really, like, if you really, really intimately know me, you know that my goal and my purpose and the reason why I do this is to be a light. And so people can see God through me. And they can see through my affliction and through my struggle and through my hard times, that if you're a young kid from Ferguson, like, a kid reached out to me a long time ago and said, man, how did you deal with it, man? How did you make it out of here? Every day I walk to the bus stop, man, people are trying to jump me and fight me. You know, how do I not join the gang? How do I not do all these different things? Like, he was asking me this question, and it broke my heart, because it's like, I joined the gang. I didn't feel like dealing with it every day. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like, and I probably can beat a lot of them up. And at that point in time, that's what I made that choice. I made that choice for protection. My father wasn't involved in my life, and I made it for security, and I made it for peace of mind. And I did that. That was a part of my life. And that's what I'm fighting for. So when I saw myself start this, Ariel, and Nis Williams, a buddy of mine, former St. Louis Ram Hall of Fame football player, in his Hall of Fame speech, he said, you want to start the beginning with the end in mind. I started MMA that way. And I saw this was a vehicle the entire time. I've been finessing you guys the whole time. This in mixed martial art career, yeah, I want to be the best. Yeah, I still got a chance to be the greatest. Me losing this past weekend didn't prohibit that. It didn't stop that. It may take me a little longer. It may add another roadblock, but I've always wanted to utilize my story, you know, my affliction, my struggle, my strongholds, my mistakes, my shortcomings, sorry, to motivate people that don't believe, that don't have hope, that don't think they can make it out of a situation. That's always been my goal, to speak to these people, to motivate these people. That's gonna be my last thing I do. Not MMA. MMA ain't all I am. You know what I mean? It's what I've been and it's what you guys know me from, but it's not all I am. You know what I mean? It's a small fraction of what builds me. So I'm invested into the solution. Um, I love the unity. I love the marching. I love, peacefully coming together. I love some of the unified fronts I've seen with some of the law enforcers and some of the people of different races of different countries that didn't hit them right in Minnesota, but they still felt the pain. I disagree with a lot of things that are going on, especially when there's no solution behind it. So my energies and my mindset until I feel like the first big toe is stepped forward on the solution is coming up with leaders. I've been on the phone with my homie Van Lathan, formerly from TMZ, been talking to Killer Mike, reached out to my guy Nate Parker, reached out to Jason Wilson from the Cave in Detroit, Michigan. You guys don't know him. He's basically training athletes and youth and forcing the fathers to be accountable, making them come to practice and using faith-based messages to teach sport to kids. And he's a very powerful human. And I reached out to Spotify, became friends with Daniel Eck of Spotify, the CEO. And I think this is time out for it. And everybody's tired. And I want to come up with some sound solutions. And I want to come up with some plans of actions, both immediate to bandage and give some type of healing and comfort for right now, some short term, some long term, and some permanent.
Can you give us a taste of maybe what the immediate solution is?
I mean, my opinion is the immediate. Do you really want to hear my opinion? What it is like? Because
Absolutely. That's why I asked you.
what's funny is I had a long conversation with Malky yesterday, two
Your
hours,
manager.
2 hours conversation, and he's gonna kill me for saying this, but I'm a real person. You guys know that. A few things I'm glad you said that to me, but don't say that to anybody else that's African American. You're not in position to ask these sort of questions. You're not. And I'm just telling you why. I had a 2 hour conversation with Ben Askren this morning. And me and Ben Askren have enough love for each other and respect for each other that I told him, if you got anything that's borderline that you don't know that would be racially insensitive, bring it to me first. Because I've been in the mud, the trenches of the trenches, the grimiest of the grimes, and I've been around billionaires and everything in between. So my skin is thicker, and I know you coming from a piece of passion, sometimes a piece of just ignorance that you just don't know. I said, but what you got to recognize is God has created some of us to be outliers. Ben, you're an outlier. You're red pill. You don't let anybody tell you. You're going to research everything for yourself. And in addition to that, you give people treatment at face value. And you don't care about color, you don't care about race, and you're ignorant to the fact that racism exists because you haven't participated in it, and you've been sheltered to the fact that you haven't experienced or seen it. So in your mind, it doesn't exist, but my brother does it. And I said, that's why you can love and you can passionately go after what you can because you haven't seen it. Sage Northcutt, when he came to Los Angeles, I took him to Skid Row. I took him to see Birth of a Nation, a film by my homie Nate Parker. He really has been oblivious in his shell. He had only had four Skittles in his entire life and never ate a piece of fried chicken. And one day I whooped him and I tornadoed him and I cultured him in one day. And he came out of the movie theater and said, Mr. Woodley, I'm angry. You know what I mean? People aren't taught racism. I mean, people are taught racism. You aren't born with that. Nobody's broken down a DNA molecule and showed me a recessive and dominant trait for racism. Black is not scary. Black is not a spider. It's not a snake. You mean colorism is a real thing. When you look at colorism, the darker you are, the bigger you are, the scarier you are. People are scared, and fear creates more fear. And people that are hurt are willing to hurt more people. Hurt people hurt. So the base root of the solution in the meantime that I think is, the first thing first, we need to grab the rugs. All rugs need to be lifted up. Uncomfortable conversations need to be put on the table. They need to be had. When I say conversation, I don't mean you sitting there with your ideology and your thoughts, and your experiences from your environment, your upbringing, your relationships, and what you've experienced, ready to dispute, refute, and basically maliciously attack somebody else's viewpoint. Never going to get there. Never going to get to the promised land. But we need to put on the table sound facts. Racism is real. Segregation was real. Slavery was real. There are byproducts from that. You can't oppress an entire generation that was brought from a different country, not on their own free will. Don't speak the native tongue, language. And if they attempt to read, you cut their tongues out. You rape them. You steal their kids. And the lighter complected you are, you can maybe move in the house. You know what I mean? That colorism and that mindset and that ideology. And from an standpoint, we can't be ignorant to the fact that if we do this area and it's green, purple, blue, whatever the case may be, you're on the 50-meter line because you've been granted a head start. And if I'm at the starting line and we go off to sprint, we can't act like that's not an advantage. We can't say, oh, race slavery was so long ago, get over it. You've had a black president. We can't do that. We can't be insensitive. So when I lay out the facts, and it's not just facts about African American and racism, but it's also about the other side of the coin. And that's what African Americans may disagree with me on. We got to look at both sides of the coin. So on a very surface level, you got the institution of slavery, where education, we know knowledge is power. Education was prohibited. It was, you can be killed because you try to consume it. Being able to read, articulate, and basically survive is one of the most human-based emotions at the base level. The ability about wealth. Not only do you not have the mentality and the mind to create wealth in an atmosphere that you were not born in, that you're not indigenous to, you have to try to create wealth with not the sound information, the sound knowledge. And then in addition to that, how can you transcend and how can you pass this wealth and this information, this knowledge down to your offspring if you don't have it? Two, the family structure is important. When you look at the amount of successful people that have come from a family that has a mother and father both there, present, that are working, okay? The numbers are astronomical on the success rate of people that have two people in their household. Since the beginning of being stripped away, you're going to be a slave, and you look stronger, you're going to do this, your wife's going to come this way, torn away from the family from the beginning. Does it really, really blow our minds, the fact that the family structure in the African-American household is not what it should be? That African-American males sometimes may leave out the family quicker than others? What is the repetition? What have they seen? What have they been conditioned to know? Think about the police, protect and serve, right? When that slogan was created, to protect and serve, it wasn't wrong. It just wasn't completely articulated. To protect and to serve the white Americans. At that time, there was no African-American law enforcement when they made that slogan. Am I correct? There was zero African-American law enforcement. So we, as African-Americans, assume that you have to live by this. They didn't create that slogan. When I say they, I mean current police officers. They didn't create the slogan. The slogan was created back in the day when people was getting hit with fire hoses and beat with billy clubs and hung, and nobody was held accountable because we were treated. When you treat somebody lower than a dog, lower than the scum of the earth, and then you expect them to get over it and think that they are so great and they don't have the family structure, they don't have the economical background, they don't have people teach. We didn't learn, in my house, we didn't learn finance because we didn't have finances. We chose what utilities were going to get cut off. In the summertime, it was not going to be the electric because we need AC. In the wintertime, we need the hot water. We boil water on the stove to take baths. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been evicted, been homeless, been everything. But at the end of the day, I made a choice. And I can't stand on the top of my wave and say, all Black people, y'all, I made a choice. I can make it, you can make it. God's created us all with different minds. Some people like me are outliers. I've been through a lot of people know about. Shot at, jumped, chased, fights, whole family full of drug dealers, killers, and everything you can think of. The fact that I'm here, I shouldn't be here. But the fact that I am here tells me I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. It's my job to go out there. It's my job to be vocal. It's my job to give peace. It's my job to come up with solutions. That's a lot to say, but if people can lay that out on the A side of the coin without refute, without rebuttal, without, well, what about this case? Every time we go, what about this case? You're pointing out another outlier. Obama is an outlier. His wife, that's like South Side of Chicago. Do you know what that is? That's why they call it Chirac. You know what I mean? He's an outlier. That's why he's a leader. So other people that are outliers should go in a place of leading. People don't want to follow, quote unquote, or they don't want to be sheep because we're in an era of social media. Social media has glamorized reality television, has glamorized quick, fast solutions, instant oatmeal success, and lottery ticket picking, married into all type of different schemes. That's what we want. Nobody want to work hard anymore. Nobody want to be accountable. Nobody want to be talked to and led. So if we don't have the base level of the leaders being willing to lead, not scared about their job, not scared about, when this is over with or people want to still do business, not falling back in the cut because I did work my whole life for this. I ain't finna just, people still gonna make mistakes anyway. That's what people think sometimes. And then if you're not willing to do any of that, open up your checkbook. Let's go. If you open up your Rolodex, you know the people, you know the connections. If you're not willing to get out there or orchestrate or lead or organize or implement, now let's fund it because it ain't free. Fund it with your time, your resources, your knowledge. And then we got to take a deep breath and we got to digest that. And Ariel, after that's digested, the next thing we do, we got to become accountable. Somebody built a stereotype. Somebody robbed an old lady at nighttime that made other people fearful of someone dressed in dark clothing. Somebody that was dressed like you. Somebody had their pants hanging off like you. They've done illegal things. A law enforcer is a force of law. If you broke the law, somebody is enforcing it. Is it that crazy in your mind that somebody whose job is to enforce the law is enforcing the law on you that you're breaking the law? We got to be real. We're poisoning our people with cocaine, crack, meth, heroin, killing them. Now, I'm not talking about weed. I'm not talking about things for earth. And maybe we should legalize any natural plant, poppy seed, freaking opium, marijuana, whatever we need to do, because pharmaceutically, if we can monetize from it, you're going to tell me weed is worth in a Percocet, Oxycodone, Vicodin? No, it's not. You know what I mean? So when you got those different things, accountability layers have to measure up. I'm scared of you. Well, I'm scared of you. Why are you harassing me? Because I'm scared of you because the person before you didn't respect me, called me a pig, said F me. you know what I mean, was violent towards me. Well, I'm feeling this way towards you because the last person I saw beat my friend half to death behind a convenience store and made me watch and told me not to say nothing. You know what I mean? Fear is something that is not godly. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a love, peace, and a sound mind. We don't have a sound mind. We don't have peace. We don't have love. So what do we have? We have the opposite, which is fear. And fear will make them do anything. It'll make me shoot somebody because I'm scared. I fear for my life. It makes me want to shoot you first because I fear if I don't shoot you, you're going to shoot me. You know what I mean? So I think that conversation needs to be put on the table ASAP. And political figures and things of that nature, they can sit back. Like one thing that's bothering me right now, a lot of people are benefiting from this from a clout standpoint, from a click standpoint, from a follow standpoint. And I'm angry with it because guess what? People are hurt. People are missing their father, their loved ones, because we don't treat humans like humans should be treated. Like if I wouldn't put a knee on my own neck, why would I put a knee on your neck? You know what I mean? If I don't want a knee on my mother's neck, why would I put a knee on your neck? If that thought process registered in someone's mind, then they wouldn't do that. Maybe they have mental health issues, maybe schizophrenic, maybe they bipolar. But okay, now we're getting somewhere. Let's get these issues, let's get these persons medicated. Let's get them counseling. Let's get them with the badge off of their chest, if that's the case and scenario. You know what I mean? And the last thing is everybody saw law enforcement from propaganda and glamorized television and movies to be the Wild Wild West. You watch Denzel Washington on Training Day, he was shaking shit and busting doors open. And some people got into law enforcement for the wrong reason. To lo and behold, be traffic police officer or pushing quotas or behind desks. And then on top of that, you underpaid, overworked, disrespected, nobody respects authority, and you feel in danger. Like these are big problems. Some African Americans don't want to hear it. Some politicians don't want to hear it. And some people are, like I told Ben, I said, I love you, brother, but I want to be real with you. You're ignorant to the fact that you haven't experienced and seen and done. So you think it doesn't exist. And it does. Like the whole thing in the University of Missouri. Remember a long time ago, University of Missouri, it was a huge racial outcry there and swastikas and everything was being sprayed. And Ben was like, Tyron, he called me like, he was so Sage Northcutt. He was like, did you experience anything different at Mizzou? Because, you know, I'm seeing all this stuff, but I wanted to ask you first. And I just laughed. I'm like, Ben, I've experienced this my whole life, brother. I don't talk about it a lot because I feel like the solution is in action. When I win and when I overcome and when I graduate college and when I become an All-American and when I become a world champion, when I become financially stable, I win and my people win. And when I say my people are human race, not black. My people win because guess what? That's the best thing I can do for you is show you. I'm from the show me state. I'm going to show your ass. I'm going to show you how I get down. You can say people have counted me out my whole career, my whole life. You know, that's been really one of my driving forces, but I've always showed up. You know what I mean? Like even this past weekend, I can't just be in the camera every time I win and talking stuff. Like, no, I was ready. I was prepared. I'm thankful God for another time I can go in there. At 38 years old, I never missed a beat. I was so focused. I was so driven. I was so ready to go. And I have no thoughts of retiring. I have no thoughts of moving to a weight division right now. I have no thoughts of none of that. And I was there. Usman fight, I wasn't there. I don't remember it. Like, I don't just say that because I want to just, you know, get an exemption from the loss. I don't remember the fight. I've never watched it. But I was there that whole moment. Every punch I felt, every leg kick I felt, my coach was talking to me. You can hear me loudly. He was saying, all right, coach, I got you. Breathing, moving. And I was there. I never felt tired. I never felt fatigued. And I never gave up hope that I was going to win. You know what I mean? And for me, I don't know how, but I found victory in that because when I got that big cut over my eye, now when he didn't knock me down, I want to get that out there. Because I looked at the film and he was like, you knocked him down twice. No, he grabbed me and started wrestling over, like uppercutting and throwing, and I fell off balance, and he jumped on top of me, and then he elbowed me, then he grabbed me, and then I regained myself. I don't know how I got on my feet, but I did. Got on my feet, and I look up, and I'm like, cut my eye open. But at that time, normally somebody want to retreat, or it's over. The referee gonna stop it. I said, Tyron, calm yourself down, breathe. Your heart rate was 35 when they checked it earlier today. Take a deep breath. I know it's a lot of blood on the canvas. Breathe. And you can see in the second round, I started to try to take back the fight. I started to try to get back in the rhythm. Then he landed the takedown. Boom. All right. Third round. Like, all right, I'm a champion, dog. I do these rounds. This is what I do. Third round. So, all right, let's get the move on. He kicked me in the leg. I was like, I feel like somebody had a surveillance camera in the gym monitoring, by every move. So he kept cracking at the leg. And everything that happened, nothing ever told me to quit. You're going to get him. Take a deep breath. Set it up. Move forward. Here he come. You know what you're about to do. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking, I don't know why I be having these conversations in the fight. But I was having this conversation. I'm like, my people out here fighting, man. They're out here fighting for freedom. They're out here fighting for justice. They're out here fighting for equality. You think I'm going to let this dude finish me? I'm going to quit. I'm going to let him knock me out. I'm going to let him break my arm. He got me in that choke, and all I kept thinking, like, man, you just not choking me out, dog. I don't give a how many world titles you won in jiu-jitsu. I'm not getting choked out at all. And I was thinking that. So maybe that's what gave me a little bit of peace when I got out the octagon. It's like, I'm like, God, I don't understand it. I'm confused, but I trust you. You know what I mean? I trust you. And I think that it's time for me to go out here in a major way and make an impact and make a difference and come up with one of the first solutions to this issue and start taking steps in the right direction.
Man, what an answer, Tyron. And you're
I'm
such a
sorry,
great
man.
no.
This is more important to me than fighting. I'm gonna be real. It's
Hey,
more important to me than everything besides my kids. And I'm passionate about it, and I'm tired, man. Like my 16-year-old son is crying. He can't sleep at night. He don't live in the hood. He got a nice car, and he can't sleep. He's scared. He's terrified. He hates it. And he's old enough to know. You know what I mean? That like, I gotta talk to my son. Me and Dean brought his kid here. His kid's 15. He said, if we get pulled over, it's dark and coming from the gym, don't say nothing. Don't move. Don't breathe. Yes. Like what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to train your kids that way. This got to stop.
And what is it like in your neighborhood? I mean, have you been to, have you been out and about? Are you home resting? Like, I've seen the images from California to New York. What is it like where you are?
They turning it up. They turning it up out here. My marketing guy and my recording artist from St. Louis, they were on 17th and Olive. They torched it, blew it up, burned it down. Crazy
Wow.
rioting. 4 police officers have been shot. Don't quote me. 2 to 4 police officers have been shot. I know some police officers have been shot here. I mean, just on Memorial Day alone, 16 people were shot and 9 people were killed in St. Louis on one day. So when you put all the factors there, you got election year, chaotic. Anytime warm weather comes around, it's a trend with crime. That's happening. Warm weather is kicking out. Then you got the quarantine, people cooped up in the house. And one already didn't have enough funds, living in close quarters. I mean, may not have the ability to bounce back from this. And then if they have any type of mental issues that we talked about earlier, they're forced in the house to deal with them by themselves. Then this happens. It's like 17 bottles of soda shooken up and it just exploded. Right. So 2 blocks down the street, so 17th and Olive is where they were blowing up, and it was making directions towards where the marketing in place and recording studios at. So they're outside with firearms and like, you're not finna blow this place up. You're not finna lose right. We put our life in it. 30 police officers swoop down. Swoop. 30 police get on the ground, guns drawn, da. And one of the police officers told my artist that I remember you from Ferguson. We didn't get you then, but we'll get you now. You know what I mean? So it's like, it only takes one. You know what I mean? It only takes one. And you can just hear, like, I'll send you the video. You can just hear, like, my buddy who's he's a white guy. He's He thought that's what he wanted. It's not. You watch this. People don't really choose this lifestyle. And you can hear him instantly cooperate. Yes, sir. No, sir. I got a firearm. Who did it? And the police officer's telling him, he's saying, hey, I feel that threat. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. If you don't comply to me, basically, I'm going to apply force. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. Thank you for complying. Yes, sir. You hear it. And this happened, well, yesterday or the day before yesterday. They sent me a video of it 2 minutes after it happened. So I'm like, I can gear up and go out, but how can I make the biggest impact? So then I started calling all the people that I felt like would get the message across in a tone. It's all about tone. Because if I pour water in a bottle area with the top on there, water's gonna pour down the side. But if I can find people that can uncap certain people, I can uncap certain people. Somebody that grew up in Ferguson is gonna listen to me because they know I've been there. They know I've done that. You know what I mean? I can uncap the person. I can uncap pretty much anybody because I've been through all walks of life. But there's certain people like Killer Mike, Nate Parker, Van Lathan, Jason Wilson. Sorry about that. My son was trying to call me, but they can uncap several people. And I think the more unique, diversified people you can have, maybe Ben Askren too. Maybe he's a part of it, because he called me. Some people from WME called me, and they want to be involved because they coming to me because they know that this is what I'm passionate about. This is real stuff to me. It's not a joke, and I'm gonna do the best with it, man. I'm gonna spend these next couple of weeks. I'm gonna really try to get to the bottom of what I feel like the problems are, and I'm gonna really try to solve them.
I saw a tweet from you where you took a photo of crutches, and you sort of alluded to the fact that you had an injury going into the fight, and you're obviously still injured now. What happened?
You know, I was doing my due diligence, right? And one thing I noticed that Henry Hooft is a good coach, and he trains his fighters kind of in they go through moments and they go through like phases, right? So to be a phase where everybody's kind of doing the same thing. It was a phase where everybody was doing kind of like an up kick to keep people at bay, and then combinations, you know what I mean, and then press with the rest and the conditioning. They're going through a phase right now where they were doing a lot of calf kicks. You see Luke doing a lot of calf kicks. You see, you know what I mean? So anybody in that camp, I have to believe that they're going to be kind of doing the same thing. So I was prepared for that. I'm like, he's going to try to slow me down, knock my base out, calf kick out of me, stop me from exploding, and then, try to utilize that to just keep me off balance and keep me thinking, set up his overhand right, set up his left hook, you know what I mean? And it was something you can watch the pads. 1, 2, calf kick, left hook, overhand, and I was prepared for that. So in training, Dean was trying to get me prepared for it. So, we were doing a lot of the calf kicks and gave me a lot of different ways to defend it. Check it, turn my knee out, move back, evade from it, or just eat it and air strike forward. And what happened was one time, it was about 2 weeks ago, Dean had on wrestling shoes and he was trying to throw the kick where it didn't wasn't hard. But sometimes when you loop a kick out, you don't throw it the regular way. His heel bashed like a nerve in my like shin calf area, whatever, and it caused a contusion. So every time somebody would try to kick there, it would be terrible pain. So I put double shin guards on, and we just kind of try to stay away from it. I did massage, acupuncture, ice, whatever you can think of, and I just really try to stay off of it. But when you running and cutting weight and stuff like that, you're pounding on it. So I kind of knew it going in. And if you can tell, you see one new person in my corner, Asian young man. That's my chiropractor. So I had to make a big choice. One of my coaches didn't come. My boxing coach didn't come, Eric Brown. You didn't see him there. And I had to make the last minute choice that it was more valuable to have him in the locker room to work on me, to work on my calf. So that's why he was in the corner versus my other coach. And I was prepared for it. You saw me a couple of times when he kicked, I just kind of moved back and evaded the kick. The goal was for when he kicked to move back, evade the kick, come down punching, or if I took the kick, throw a punch right off of it. But in the third round, I threw a jab and he cracked me in the exact spot. Boom. And I tried to play it off, and then he did it again. Then I heard him go back in the corner. He was like, he keep kicking him in the leg, keep kicking him in the leg. And I saw him look down at my leg, and I made it. I made the right choice. I was like, I had worked some southpaw just in case, but I'm like, when you go southpaw, you kind of told the person they, you know what I mean? And then also your defense is not as tight on the other side as it is on your original side. So I say, you know, all right, well, I got to just keep making miss the kick as much as I can when I get a chance. Because moving forward from that quite a bit, but I'm like, if I catch him punching, I can punch with him, then I can catch him in the transition. And he was just smart. I mean, they was telling him to fight in the shell like a turtle. So he had a shell. He stayed in the shell. He bombed and he stayed. Went back to the time to come in and punch him. So I mean, I knew about it. I was hoping that I can just evade the kicks, and I was hoping I could go forward. But it was something that I thought that, man, I've went into every world title fight with an injury. Like, I just don't talk about them. Every
Mm.
single one. Not one fight I went into without an injury. Some of them more severe than this one, but I thought this one was going to be one that when adrenaline kicked in and I started getting into it, and if he did land a kick, maybe I would have been landing the right hand anyway. But at the end of the day, it hit me, started crushing that leg, and I said, you know what I mean? I got to fight. I can't just give up and lose. So I just started fighting at that point. You know what I mean?
So when you were talking about the fight initially, you addressed a lot, saying that you're going to keep fighting, that you're not thinking about changing weight classes, and you know you're going to keep going. You felt good. You're not offering
Yeah,
excuses.
man.
So
Yep.
what does the future hold for you? You know, I was saying like, oh, now's the perfect time for you and Colby. You know, why not now?
Yeah, I
Finally,
think they offered me that fight. I told him, I'm in. I mean, I just don't
sure.
want to talk a lot about Kobe just because Kobe, you know, I just don't want to talk a lot about Kobe because Kobe is an actor, man. I know what he's doing, and it makes sense, and it's kind of fun to watch. Oh crap! It's kind of fun to watch, but at the end of the day, like Kobe's turned me down 5 or 6 times. But I think after losing 2 fights back to back, I think it may be a time where he may accept it because he may think I'm down and out. But that was the first thing they did. You know what I mean? They want to see if I was all right. Then they offered me to fight against Kobe, and I told Malky, I said, make sure you tell them today, yes. Don't wait till tomorrow. Tell them today, yes. You know, I got a contusion I got to deal with, and I can't fight anyway. 45 to 60 days because of the cut. So I've been icing 6, 7 times a day, icing ibuprofen. So I've been doing the right stuff, and and, and fighting Kobe right now it's like fighting this race war. You know what I mean? This brutality and the unsettling climate of our culture. Like I'm just gonna take it as that. So they have offered me Kobe, and I once again have accepted again, and we'll see what happens.
All right. In conclusion, anything you want to say, anything you want to get off your chest, or do you feel like for now, I mean, obviously there's so much that we can say. I don't want to keep you forever. Anything else you want to say before we
I
say
mean,
goodbye?
I want to say this. If you're in position of status right now, and you're contemplating on if you should get involved and if you should speak out, you should say something. I urge you to have the courage to step out and speak. I urge you also to be very strategic in the way that you do it. Think it through first. Don't just post something out of impulse. Sorry. Think it through. Think of how it is going to affect everybody. What you say, and get involved. If you are a person that feels like you doing your part or you voting is not going to make a big difference, you're wrong. Every peaceful protester, every person that's voting, every person that's using their social media platform to speak out, you guys are all important. You guys all make a difference. And little by little feels a measure. No one person, I'm not gonna solve the problem by myself. But I'm also not gonna sit back and worry about what people think about me for standing on what I believe. So get in the fight, and this is for all races because my people are human beings. If you got blood in your vein, then you my people. And if you don't, you're not my people. And I don't care what color you are.
Tyron, much love, my man.
All right, man.
Always great talking to you. My best to you. Thank you for saying everything that you've said and for doing everything that you say you're going to do. you're a leader and an inspiration, my man. So my best to you and your family. Thank you very much. I'm sorry it didn't work out on Saturday, but I'm happy to hear that you're going to keep going. And hopefully
Cool.
this time we can maybe see that fight once and for all between you and Colby. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, my man.
Take care.